everybody. My name is Giovanni Baez-Rose. I'm the Assistant City Manager and Director of Planning and Development for the city. I'm joined here today by other members of the Planning Department staff, Camilo Espatia, who's going to be doing a majority of the presentation today. And then in the crowd, we have Mary and Liam. Mary and Liam are available. They'll be able to sort of hand out Post-its and sheets if folks want to leave feedback. Please see Mary or Liam. Camilo will explain sort of the structure of the conversation, but I wanted to say hello, welcome you all. Thank you for coming tonight. I want to acknowledge and say thanks to the counselors who are in attendance tonight. We have District Councilor Kim Scott here, Mayor Gitchier, Councilor Rita Mercier, Councilor McDonough I saw somewhere, I can't find you in the crowd, and I see Councilor Chow at the door, so thank you, counselors, for joining us this evening. Oh, and Councilor Duran. Thank you. And welcome to everybody for coming tonight. We know that this is an important conversation that folks in the community have wanted us to have. The city is undergoing a process to rewrite our zoning right now, and it was at the request of the councilors that we sort of have a separate conversation specifically related to data centers and not just be a part of that sort of larger conversation related to zoning. So we pulled this together tonight to talk explicitly about data centers and zoning and what that could mean and can mean here in the city. When DPD brings things forward to the council, it's our job essentially to try to bring forward options for the council to deliberate on. We know that one of the options that folks in the community, we've already heard from people and we know this to be true, that one of the options that people are going to say about zoning is just zone it out, right? Just do not make it an allowable use. And so that's a conversation that we know, and that's an option that we can present to the city council. There are potentially other options that we could also present to them, and so we're hoping that a part of this conversation can help us inform what those potential alternatives might also be. So I do want to make sure folks understand that we are having this conversation. We are asking you about zoning things related to zoning and how they might impact data centers, but we are very clear in DPD that one of the things that people are looking for DPD to provide the council as an option is to make data centers not an allowable use. So I sort of want to just say that up front because we're all very clear about it and want to make sure that you're clear that we have heard that already. And so I'm going to hand it over to Camilo to explain a little bit about the boards you saw, the little Post-its that are floating around. But again, we really just want to thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedules to join us in a relatively warm auditorium in the middle of the summer to talk about, zoning. So we appreciate your time and we hope that we'll be able to, through this conversation, bring some options to the council for consideration.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. As Giovanni said before, my name is Camilo Espatia. I'm the Deputy Director of the Planning Department. This is a fully staffed presentation by the city and the Planning Department, so we wanted to clarify that first. Second, the objective of this, in general, is to hear from you. So we will be talking maybe for 10, 15 minutes. Most of it is asking for your feedback, and we'll explain where we'll be asking for your feedback, and then at the end, we'll receive questions, so we'll be passing around the mic. We know that there's a lot of questions that you guys may have, and or at least things that you want us to know, so we're more than happy to receive that information. So, and then before we start the presentation, here on the screen we have it only in English, but if you scan each of the QR codes, you get to access it in Spanish, Portuguese, or Khmer, as well as the translators that we have in staff as well. So the next page is to talk about specifically why is the Planning Department talking about data centers. We are the department that's in charge of a couple of things in the entire city, from open space to permitting, inspection, urban development, community outreach, but specifically for this conversation, the most important thing that's related to data centers, the community and ourselves is zoning. And DPD uses zoning as probably the largest regulatory tool to be able to control some of the uses and some of the things that come in the city, with ideally setting up some expectations of what the community wants to see, how it benefits the community. We obviously believe in the community, in the economic development benefits that many of the uses bring to the city, but we also don't want that to be at the expense of quality of life and the environment and whatnot. So this is part of why we want to have this conversation. Why are we talking about data centers today? I think we understand some of the challenges, but part of it is we want to understand more in detail of the challenges that you guys have brought up to the council through some of the emails, through some posts, through social media. I think this is the way for the planning department to sort of legitimize and officialize what those comments look like. For us, directly take that feedback and then imprint it in what will be zoning or the recommendations that will be bringing to the council. But also to think about what are the opportunities that we could also incorporate. So the idea is to mitigate or eliminate all of the challenges, that's the goal. And then how do we leverage the opportunities that these may or may not bring, or that we actually would, as a city, agree that we could make these uses bring to the city. And so the goal today is to understand what that means for us. And then we go into the next slide, which I think it's important to understand why data centers even exist. I think it's sort of obvious, but I think it's important to put it on a screen that this is not just for artificial intelligence or just for companies to store data. This is where people store the data that's used on Instagram, TikTok, or when you use your bank, when you pay for stuff on your phone. So it's more ingrained in our daily life than we expect it to be. It's not so separate from what we do on a daily basis. So understanding that is helpful to know why they even exist, one. Two, I'm not going to go in detail of the sizes, but having this differentiation in sizes helps us understand that that can be a tool that we can use through zoning. We have less than 5,000 to over 600,000 square feet of data centers. I think probably those are the ones that you see in Arizona in the middle of the desert, these gigantic warehouses full of computers, and then it ranges back to the smallest thing. However, we see this as a tool for us to use in Lowell. That's why we brought the sizes, and that's why it's important to us, and we'll explain in detail once we get to the next boards. And so if you go to the next slide, this is the part where we want your help. We need your feedback. And you probably have said this a million times. You probably are fed up with saying it so often, but we probably just want to hear it again. And we want to, like I said before, memorialize that. And we want to legitimize what your concerns are. Typically what we've heard is that there's, all of these are true. This is what we've heard: air pollution, noise pollution, light pollution, the fact that there's traffic and public road usage, building setbacks and how they relate to the neighbors. There's sometimes the visual appearance of a building, whether it's the size of it, whether it's the architecture of it, whether it's the materiality, or whether it's not shielded enough from the neighbors. And then obviously the utility cost increase. I would hate to ask you guys to get up, but we do have a board, because we do have the other option in which you guys get to tell us what are those things that are like missing from this board. And I'm not sure what's the best way to go about this, because we didn't expect this to be so crowded, which is a good thing that we have. But in the board next to where Sean, if you raise your hand, Sean is there. The board in the middle is where we have that ability for you guys to add other concepts. You don't have to do it now if you don't want to. You can do it at the end so we don't become a disorganized group. But ideally, before you leave, you either write on the board itself, you can write on Post-its, and also Liam can distribute these sheets in which you can write in the back of the sheet and you can return to us, just to make sure that we have as much information from you guys, because we want to make sure that we hear from you. We understand that there's concerns. We want to make sure that we get all of them, that we get all of your feedback, because I know there's a lot of questions and feedback, and there's a lot of conversations that have been taking place from data centers, so we want to make sure. I will answer your question, but I want to clarify that we will answer questions at the end so that we don't get off route. But if we do have a mic, can you yell your question? I'm happy to answer.
I just want to know if there's a place to find feedback online for our friends.
Yes,
here.
there's
Is that QR code?
there's an email address. Yes, absolutely. And actually, I neglected to say that. Before the forum, some people were kind enough to email us questions before, whether they wanted to make sure that we had the questions in hand or they couldn't make it. The address is dpdprojects@lowellma.gov. Please be sure to email us. If you walk out here and you didn't put your dot, that's fine. You can also just email us. We just want to make sure you guys give us all the information and that you guys are satisfied with the fact that we received all that information. What's another question over there?
She really wants to emphasize water consumption, I think we said.
Water consumption? Yes. And we can... Yes. Yes, absolutely. And we'll write it down. That's another option. We'll write down so that not everybody has to get up.
So I don't need a mic, I talk really loud. Mary and Liam are gonna start handing out like little sections of Post-its for folks. If you brought a piece of paper and a notepad and you just feel like writing your notes. The important part for us is either put it on the board, send it to the email address, write it on a Post-it, but don't leave today without leaving that information. So if you're making notes or comments about what you're thinking, great, but please make sure that you leave it with us so we are able to capture what we're hearing from folks. So Mary's in the back, Liam's here up front. They're going to start circulating small packets of Post-its if you want to start writing those notes down. And so the email address again is DPD, like the letters DPD, projects, all one word, at lowellma.gov. And so you can just email us and that automatically comes into staff inboxes and we already have it here for people. But if you're here and you want to hear feedback tonight, I want to make sure that if you are writing things down, that you do just make sure you leave it with the staff person, please. Don't take it. Just want to make sure that we're just capturing everything for tonight's discussion.
And if it helps, DPD stands for Department of Planning and Development. Just so that you know, DPD projects all together at lowellma.gov. So now we know, and then we'll have more questions at the end. And then please be sure, like Giovanni said, either put your dots, fill in the Post-its, or send us an email. As long as you send us the information, we'll be really happy to receive that. Then we'll talk about what the planning department, some of the things that the planning department can do. Through zoning, we can control what a building looks like, what type of architecture it has, what type of screening it has, the size of the building, how far it sits from the setbacks, where it can be located in the entire city, how far it should be from residential neighborhoods, how far it should be from water sources, precisely for the concern about water sources and water usage. And even the amount of, and how to control their utilities and how it's used, whether solar power, water usage, and the outcome of the building as well. We can control all that, but we know that this is beyond just how the building looks. And so we know there's other things to have into consideration. That we know that there should be appropriate buffer zones. We know that we should address the use of utilities, the use of mechanical systems to heat the building or cool the building, and what that means for emissions and what that means for the air quality and in general the quality of life of the residents, how much they rely on our grid, how much landscaping features we need for buffers. So we know all this, and this is just a reminder for you guys that this is also things that you can mention in that feedback that you can give to us. But we wanted to highlight what we can also do to leverage the opportunities out of these buildings should they come our way. And again, like Giovanni said, and I think I might repeat this more than once just to make sure. Our plan is not to simply just have another use. Our plan is to present the council with as many options as possible. One of them is, should we just simply ban the use? That's an option that the council gets to vote on. But because we're the planning department, there are tools that we get to use in case there's another option that the community or the council wants to see, which is how can we better control the size of these things, what they do, how far are they, where are they in the city, how many benefits can we get out of it? Do we create a pool for additional open space that they may be helping us fill? Do we create a pool for affordable housing that they can help us fill in? And so this is just to cue the question, also the second board, and also probably the second slide that both Liam and Mary will be distributing is, what do you think should be benefits that we should reap off from having certain types of uses in the city? It goes exactly the same before. You get to put the dot before you leave, you get to send the email at dpdprojects at lowellma.gov. You get to write it down in the post-it, you get to write it down in the sheet of paper, and again, at the end, it's open for questions, but also for feedback. It doesn't have to be questions, it can also just be concerns. I think it should address X, Y, Z. We're more than happy to hear that. In the next slide, we have also researched how other communities have done this, just to make sure that we understand we're not the only city with a data center. The entire country, and probably the entire continent, obviously has data centers growing as footprints in their communities. And so we have looked at how other communities have done that in a way to, one, mitigate the challenges and the so-called burden, because it is somewhat of a burden for the community, but also how do we leverage the opportunities. And so one way that Mansfield did it is created a separate zoning. And basically it means a specific area in the city. So not in all industrial areas, in a very specific part of the city where it made sense to Mansfield. That's where they decided to zoning, plus some caveats about the sizing and the type of permitting process that these type of uses get to go. And we can copy some of these things, we can somewhat replicate, we should adjust to the reality of Lowell being obviously a different community. How could we adjust some of these things so that we can incorporate it into our zoning? There's also sustainability features for facilities that create so much heat. Could we leverage that as a thermal energy network so that maybe we can reduce the burden in our grid in the city? We see that as a benefit. Again, it's just simply putting ideas out there for you guys to tell us what you guys think. If it's a bad idea, it's a bad idea. If it's a great idea, it's a great idea. If it's somewhere in the middle, or if you guys have different ideas besides that, we'll be happy to receive them. And then the final, I kind of hinted to that at the beginning, or maybe before, about financial support. Some of our uses in the city require some sort of community benefit agreement. And the way it works is that the use or the applicant doesn't get a permit until it comes with a community benefit agreement. So this is an idea. Again, we're shooting ideas for you guys to tell us whether are we even close in proposing these things? Are we crazy? Are we far? Are we warm? Because again, we want to make sure that the zoning process for rewriting or auditing our zoning, the recommendations that go to the council come fully vetted by the community. This is why we're having this public forum. As many people as here, we're almost filling the auditorium. I find this to be fantastic because it informs us even better. When we go back to the council, we can come up with these ideas fully vetted by the community. So having said that, we already talked about how the communities are dealing with it. So it takes me to the last slide, which is probably one of the most important things, and I mentioned this before. We are right in the middle of auditing our zoning, our citywide zoning, and that's a good thing, because there are things that may be outdated, that don't probably work anymore for the city. There might be uses that we haven't addressed at full capacity, so this is the perfect opportunity. And there's plenty of things in our zoning that actually do work, that we want to make sure we leave because they work. And so this is a perfect opportunity to actually address the specificity of data centers, because we're right at the beginning of the zoning audit and rewrite. So there's no rush in this except for getting your information, but we're not rewriting the zoning tomorrow. We're not passing recommendations to our zoning tomorrow. We have plenty of time. Right now, we are at the end of June. Are we at the end of June? We are in the end of June, right? We're not in July yet. Or we're already in July. No, we're at the end of June. So that tells you a little bit of where we are in this whole process. And this is not the only time we'll be meeting with the community. We'll probably have many more of these. Probably not only about data centers, probably about housing, probably about other commercial uses, but we wanted to make sure that this time around we spoke about data centers. There's going to be refinement of the zoning recommendations. We'll throw them back to the community. You guys will get to vote on it, the things that you like, the things that you guys don't like. And at the very end is when we'll shoot it to the planning board. which will be the one starting this in detail and making a recommendation finally for the council to vote on. So we are in the very early stages, which is helpful because it means we have time for this. We have time for these conversations. We have time for the questions. We have time for the concerns. We have time for, as a community, come up with a consensus of what is the best thing that we can recommend for the council to vote. Having said that, this actually took a little less than I thought, simply because we didn't go through the full exercise of the boards. Again, please make sure at the end of the presentation, at the end of this, before you leave your thoughts, fill out a Post-it. Please make sure you send us an email. Liam is walking around with Post-its. If you guys need one, please make sure you talk to Liam or Mary, who's on the other side. They're both by a door. Make sure you tell us what you think. Make sure you ask us the questions. Make sure you give us your feedback. With that said, we have a mic. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. Let's try to keep it organized. Please raise your hand and we'll try to keep it in the order that we see next to the person in red.
Hi, I'm Sienna. I live next to Spinner Stadium. We've done a lot of door knocking in the area, as I'm sure many people here have as well. As you've already covered, there's a lot of things that are on that list, like water consumption and the threat to our way of life in Lowell in general. I feel like Lowell is really interesting because we have a history of being not only incredibly exploited, but also profiting from exploitation. It took almost 100 years for the Merrimack River to heal from the exploitation of the Industrial Revolution. Those folks not getting paid any money whatsoever, and actually creating most of the clothes during chattel slavery. So I think that all being said, I think this has massive implications, not only for us in Lowell, but Massachusetts in general. Markley Data Center is the largest data center in Massachusetts. Markley Data Center does and will continue to house government contractors that are complicit in the killing of innocent civilians abroad and the over-policing of American citizens here at home. We have an obligation as residents to fight back against that. And like I said, the amount of people coming out here tonight is amazing. And I hope that Lowell and areas where large data centers are being built, we see that as a responsibility to put a stopgap on defense contractors destroying and terrorizing the working class abroad as well as home.
Yes, absolutely. Questions?
Yeah, hi, I'm Will. I also live in Lowell. I've lived in Lowell for over a decade. My family's from around here. Like what was just said, this is already the largest data center by power usage in Massachusetts, and Markley themselves say they want to hyperscale this up to 380 megawatts, which would be over 5 times the size that it is now in terms of water usage, in terms of electricity. They've then doubled down on that by buying out properties, becoming one of the larger landlords in the area, as well as buying multiple industrial sites. Clearly they do want to expand, they want to continue to exploit us, and they see Lowell not as a place that they can collaborate with the people here, but a place that they can come in and take from us. This doesn't benefit us. It's a lose-lose. I've knocked on hundreds of doors at this point. I haven't heard one person nearby who is in favor of the data center as it is now, and definitely not expanding it further. Markley Group is worth $24 billion. I'll just leave it at this. They see Lowell for the ability to squeeze it for everything that they can. They've already caused our utilities and our housing costs to skyrocket. And I think that the city government needs to stop being negligent in this process. And This corporation and its greedy, low-life CEO is just about profit, and we need to worry about our damn lives here.
Do you want a question? Yes.
Thank you. I have a question and a comment. The question is just for clarification. Right now, what is the square footage of the current data center? You showed a bunch of different things, so just so we can place it where we are, it would be helpful for us to know.
If I tell you a number, I probably would probably around 50,000.
50,000
It's like
square
a
foot.
supermarket size, which is around that. But I will have to get back to you on that.
Okay,
I get the
that's
question. 300, so 300 over is probably in the 300,000 or 400,000
okay.
range.
Excellent. So you presented to us what other places where the data centers have done. Markley has been in Lowell for over 10 years now, and they have done none of it. How can we trust that they will do any of it going forward? That is something that every resident in Lowell should have a question about. Second is, one of the biggest things right now in the summer as we are sitting in the hot auditorium is the thermal pollution and the heat island effect. That is something to be considered along with the water, noise, air pollution as well. Yeah, that's basically my comment.
Thank you.
I just want to say, my name is Harini Iyer, I forget this all the time. I am running for state rep seat for Middlesex 17, which includes South Lowell. Thank you.
We have lots of folks, lots of hands, so I am gonna just ask folks to keep it like, what's the council limit, 3 minutes? Is that the max? Just keep the comments brief so we can try to get as many folks in. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I do agree. To introduce myself, my name is Chris Romero. I've been hearing a lot about the data center recently in the city of Lowell. Well, I do have to point out PSL Lowell with I agree with what they said. We do not need a data center at all. We don't. We don't. Markley has been negligent throughout our community. I don't care what they say. They are not investing in our community. And we, the residents of Lowell, agree we don't need a data center. So, I'm asking, help them out, PSL Lowell. They care about the community. They don't want a data center like me. Even me and my mother tell me, we don't need this. It's bad for our neighbors. It's bad for the city. I don't care what Markley have to say. So, in my opinion, I'd say no to data centers and urge the council to vote no.
Hi, my name is Christine Durante and I work for Markley Group. Well, keep it respectful, because I was respectful for all of you. I wanted to talk about what you were saying about most of the customers for Markley Group being defense contractors, and actually, or you said, just hold on. A good number of our customers are actually universities. Harvard University is one of them. Also,
I do ask the favor of letting everybody participate at the same time. Not at the same time, please.
we have a number of customers from a number of different industries, including finance and, like I said, education, which is very important. I'm sorry, I'm nervous, so if I'm shaking. Another thing about Markley and the city of Lowell, and why I believe that Markley being here and having our data center here in Lowell is a net benefit to Lowell.
Do you live here?
Yes, I do. I live in the boot. One of the biggest benefits is investment. Jeff Markley has invested $200 million in private investment in this city. That is a net benefit for tax revenue in a city which has in a city who has been struggling for a number of years. And no, I don't believe that it should be money over health. And I think that we do need to, I think we do need to talk about what the deleterious effects of having a data center so close to residential neighborhoods is. But also, I think we should keep it to fact. We shouldn't give in to hysteria. And we should have studies and things of that done which back up such claims, which is why I think meetings like this is a good idea. I think having, our city planners involved are an excellent idea. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Question over there, I think. And then in the back, the woman in yellow, please.
Yellow, in the back.
In the back.
Sorry. There's lots of people with their hands raised.
Hi everyone, my name is Gloria. I'm a young adult. When I mean young adult, I recently just graduated Lowell High. Actually, I miss Middlesex County, if anyone knows. But after listening to what she has to say, like everybody's entitled to an opinion, but I'm here to advocate for the young generation. Lowell gave me a home when I didn't have a home. I immigrated here. I've been here close to 15 years. I grew up here. My sister went to the Butler. I went to the Sullivan. And the one thing I forget is how much of a community we are. And right now they are exploiting us. And I want my siblings to grow up with the Lowell I had, not just some industry or some sort of corporate thing that you guys are doing. This is culture, this is our lives, and you're taking that away from my siblings, from me. I miss the old Lowell. It's not just about profits. We also have to consider the fact that this is culture and this is a home from other people.
Hi everyone, my name is Claude. I am the student trustee for Middlesex Community College. The concern that I had does not go to the people from Markley. It's a question that I have for people working for the city. The general consensus we can agree is that we want data centers zoned out. So now my question is, if we do zone them out, what happens to the one in Markley? Does it remain as a non-conforming use? And if it does remain, what will we do so that we reduce the damage it does? And another thing is, there have been situations where when cities zone out certain industrializations, they give them time to phase out. How long it takes so that we get them out, so that we phase them out, because we do not want them here. Thank you.
I can answer the first question, which is unfortunately, yes, they will be grandfathered in, so there will be a non-conforming use if the city does decide to ban data centers. So unfortunately, we can't simply just eradicate the building per se. The second question about phasing them out, I would have to check with the legal department what that would look like. We can obviously check with them and get back to you. If you please send us an email, that way we can give your email, and so we can get back to you with the answer. But thank you for the question.
Yeah, my name is John Grossman. I live on Barnum Avenue. I volunteer with 350 Mass of Greater Lowell, the Climate Justice Group. A couple of quick points. Number one, whatever happens, it's essential that the existing data center negotiate a community benefits agreement with the community that they're taking advantage of right now. And that however that happens, the community members have to be participants and decision makers. Secondly, one issue that hasn't come up yet is the consequences to our climate. The data centers use a tremendous amount of energy. The one we got now uses diesel and as backup generators, and has recently bought a natural gas burning power plant, the Tanner Street plant, which they refuse to acknowledge what they're going to do about it. Perhaps tonight they might let us know what the plan is. But either way, both uses are add tremendously to greenhouse gas emissions. Both Massachusetts and Lowell have commitments to clean energy over the next few years, and we can't make them if we increase the amount of gas we're burning and diesel we're burning. And that will have tremendous consequences for our future. The other thing that we haven't touched on too much is health consequences. When you burn diesel, that's a health hazard. People know about emissions from diesel and natural gas, which have pollutants that can cause lung problems, heart problems, and increase the chance of asthma. That's well established. Even though presently diesel is just being used as backup, there are studies that show that backup use of diesel creates more emissions than regular use from natural gas plants. This can be done, however. Renewable energy is the solution. Thank you.
You're next. You're up there. Go ahead.
My name is Stanko Madrano. I live right here on Gorham Street. When looking at your presentation and looking what the representatives of the data center speak of, some of these things can be slightly or misleading or because you speak of certain things that we could do to benefit us, but those things that you speak of to benefit us aren't direct replacements of the issues that we see. If we get these certain benefits to our community, it's not going to affect the environmental effects. It's not going to change what is happening in the neighborhood. It's not going to change any of that. And these are things that are certain aspects of this are extremely hard or irreversible to just flip back. And they speak of doing research and some of these things not being like fact, but just how you spoke about how it's common to have data centers. We see the results in other cities. We see water being polluted. We see there being noise pollution in other cities getting severely affected by this. So you can't, it's not a certain thing where let's try to find this compromise. It's a thing that whether you find other positive benefits, the negative issues on it are too large. Just as they were speaking in the back, we want to see a future where the youth is having the same as us. I want to see a future where I can prosper, where everybody in here can prosper. And having data centers doesn't allow that. A data center, you speak that it's common use. There's a lot of things that we use on our day-to-day with that data center. That's correct. But for our community, a data center is not something like a store in the community where the store is, yes, the data center creates jobs. I don't know how much it creates for Lowell, but the store creates jobs, but then it's also helping the community, circulating money, things like that. Whereas a data center, it's benefiting the corporation. As much as you want it to benefit the community, a data center is going to benefit a corporation the most. And those corporations, we see how these data centers are helping, like they were speaking about the defense companies, the colleges, things like that. We as a community can't automatically decide who these data centers are profiting, because as you can see, they do things on a whim that we just find out later. So that's not really something that's community accept. And for my last thing is, I'm also an immigrant. In matter of fact, I'm getting my citizenship on the 4th of July. But I would say this is We live in the United States, it's a democracy, and I think certain issues like this should be treated as such, because you see how we're all in here and you said there's a lot of people and you like that. It's because this issue is very important. I think that these issues should get a community vote that's not just, oh, we'll figure out later, like we're doing now.
Hi, my name is Judy Cahill. I've been a resident in Lowell, down on Anderson Street, for over 40 years. I've raised my children here, my grandson comes to visit, and I don't want to trade my health, my family's health, my neighbor's health, and their money. Like, you know, you say we're going to cut in taxes. They don't give us cuts in taxes. They give money cuts in taxes, okay? But you know, the diesel and the gas, first of all, diesel, we already smell the trains when we go by our house. I live across the bridge on Lundberg Street, across that bridge from where they're proposing. I don't want to smell their diesel. I don't want to have health issues because of them. I already get asthma. I'm a family of children with asthma. My husband has asthma. We don't need that, okay? I don't want to trade my health for a data center. As far as gas, aren't they proposing in a lot of cities and towns in the state of Massachusetts that we cannot have a gas stove? We're gonna get one here because we're grandfathered, but there are places in Andover and Haverhill that are being told they can't have a gas stove, and you wanna put a gas generator or whatever it is they're putting up there? That's not right. Okay, well, I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna repeat myself, but I don't wanna trade my family, my neighbors, and my health on a data center. I worked in high tech also. As a big thing in IBM. And I used to work there, and I don't believe in it from there either, so.
Hi, my name is Neil. I also work with 350 Lowell, which is a climate justice group here. First thing I want to say is that I think the reason people are here tonight is because Markley Group doesn't share. Markley Group has been terrible in dealing with the community. They've got to learn how to do it. If they're going to stay, and I'm not sure they are, because you can feel it in this room, but if they do, they've got to learn how to plan with other people. They have to put their plans out and have the city and have the community talk about it. And then we'll go from there. If they can't do that, they're in big trouble, number one. Number two, a lot of the concerns I'm hearing tonight, and a lot of concerns we've felt in trying to deal with Markley over the years, is that they're all about diesel. They're all about fossil fuels. They think they've just dug in and they won't talk. There are battery technologies now that are better than any diesel, better than lithium. There are iron air batteries, sodium batteries that are non-flammable, cheaper, and better in this environment than anything they've got. So they've really got to start thinking about how to make their establishment, particularly if they're expanding, how to make it renewable. It's just so much safer health-wise.
Thank you, Mr. Right.
Hello, everybody. My name is Justin. I'm a student at UMass Lowell. I'm studying political science. And so my question, I have a couple questions. So first is, what are the current environmental impacts by the Markley Group? And does the city of Lowell plan to monitor or inspect that, or do they currently? And moving into the future, will we do that? I think transparency, like others have been saying, is very important for this data center. We need to have open communication with the community. A community agreement, I think, is one of the great ways to do that. So I would also like to ask, will the city think about putting this as a ballot question and having the voters vote on this? And if so, will they abide by the will of the voters once they do vote? Because we've had votes before in the city where mayor, you can vote for mayor, and that did not go with the city's wishes. So, the voters' wishes. So I'd like to see what direction we move forward in. But one with the community, the city, and Markley Group together. All right. I know there's a lot of different opinions here, and I personally do not like data centers. But I also think that we all should just remember to be respectful of each other's differences of opinions on this subject. And if we're hearing them, they can hear us. So let's just keep that practice going, please. Thank you.
And then let me read the one. Go here, you're next.
Hi, my name is Kina. I actually work for a nonprofit here in the city that helps the community goes with fair housing rights, tenants' rights, and lowlands rights. We also work with zoning and making sure that we have equitable living for everybody. Now, I have a couple of questions. I don't know if you guys are familiar with how this area is, but it's a low-income, high-poverty area. And you guys are going to place a data center right smack in the middle of a very divided community. You guys have this beautiful building, doing all the work you guys are doing. But what about the houses that's around there? Look at Prince Ave, for example. You only got the little corner that's hidden right there that's well developed. You guys have Industrial Ave. Why do you guys move there? Out of all places. And then on top of that, your building's very, very well disguised. Why is it like that? And then at the same time, again, why do you guys move to Industrial Park? Why are you guys in a low-income area? If you guys want to make promises, stop redeveloping that area that you guys are in then. Start putting back into the community. Start providing fair housing. But this is a different thing.
Hi, my name is Andrew Griffin. I live on Beacon Street over by the reservoir. Just a little background, I graduated from UMass Lowell a long time ago as a nuclear engineer and then proceeded to get my advanced degree in materials science. That is important background. Now, Markley claims that they have lots of customers. Many data centers have lots of customers. As was mentioned before, TikTok, banks, Amazon uses them, many different services that we all use. To me, that sounds like a utility. And maybe we should start treating them like a utility. Seabrook Nuclear Station has to go through inspections. They have certain things they have to adhere to. Their wastewater can be no more than 1 degree above the water that they take in. They must be clean emitters. They're a nuclear plant, so they don't actually generate carbon dioxide, but they do have diesels as backup for when the electric grid goes down. All of those are regulated and inspected on an annual basis. Why don't we start thinking, instead of just Lowell, we start contacting our representatives and start making data centers adhere to the same policies that are supposed to keep us safe from utilities and other things that generate waste heat and contamination.
My name is Mary Wamboi, and I am a member of Honest Future for Lowell. Right here, that with our leader here, Jake, we have been at the forefront of getting Lowell to speak about data centers, and I wanted that acknowledged and known that there's been a fight for 10 years and it has intensified in the past 2 years. And the people who've been doing that are sitting here quietly. Now, to my question. Number one, how will we know what the community brought in as public comment? And I have experience from the Energy Efficiency Advisory Council of Massachusetts. So if you put in any public comment, it's situated somewhere in the website where everyone can know. As a Lowell resident, I want to know what everyone here said. We need a location by the DPD or the city. It's not going to be comforting to hear that we came, gave our comments, and then they disappear somewhere. It's important for us to see them and to know what was said the next steps. Secondly, about zoning. Zoning may most likely be applied to a new data center. But I want to raise the issue that the existing data center should be affected by new zoning. It should be affected by new zoning. Well, I don't know what the end of this journey is going to be, but it's going to be important to have a substantial extension clause for our new code. And in that extension clause, we should have clear triggers that pertain to the existing data center. Any increase in fuel storage, any increase in power consumption, any increase of whatever type should trigger a substantial review based on what has been modernized. It's going to be very important. I've had many people say here today that maybe the answer is that we do not want a data center. If that ends up to be the case, it's important that if we just don't want a data center, we want restorative justice for some. We want restorative justice. We have been constantly harassed for more than 10 years, and that is worth something with the new data centers or no data centers. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I know I may be wasting your time. You're free to leave while I speak. But I am 14 years old. I just graduated from the Stop Wilson Middle School. I am the future. I urge you, the future does not I'm not hurting anyone. We just don't want data centers.
Hey guys.
I'm gonna witness it.
I don't care. I'm walking out. I'm walking out.
It's fucking. All right. It's 14 years.
It's a cute jump. You do shit. This is what happened.
Okay, before things spiral, thank you all for coming. To Mary, your question related to where is this information going to live? DPD, after we do public meetings, typically will do some kind of summary memo, or at minimum there will be an informational in front of the council, but in addition to that, there is a section on the website that will continue to have updates related to the zoning, and that's where this information will be. For folks that are leaving, please send an email or leave comments with us.
We can continue this outside, right? Can we continue this outside? What the fuck was that? God damn. Sorry, baby. The fuck? Sorry. Excuse my language, don't worry about it.